If the price isn't the price, that's not inflation, that's choreography. You ever notice how the number that gets advertised is more of a suggestion now? Rent isn't rent. A car price isn't a car price. And by the time you discover the real total, you've already spent time, attention, hope, and maybe a hard credit pull. Cute. So let's start with housing. On March 12th, the FTC said unfair and deceptive rental fee practices violate federal law, and specifically pointed to cases over hidden housing charges, including prior allegations against Invitation Homes for leaving mandatory monthly fees out of advertised rent. That matters because this is not some niche landlord drama. It's the government saying the bait and switch around monthly price is serious enough to target at the federal level. Translation: if you rent, the number on the listing may have been engineered to get you emotionally attached before the fees roll in. And then came the very tangible part: checks. The FTC said it is sending checks totaling more than $47.2 million to 444,131 consumers tied to Invitation Homes' undisclosed fees and other unlawful charges. Eligible people include renters who paid $45 or more in covered fees between January 2021 and September 2024. That is the rare moment when the words mandatory convenience fee turn into actual inconvenience for the company instead of just for you. Now zoom out to cars, because apparently America decided every life necessity should come with a magician. On March 13th, the FTC warned 97 auto dealership groups about deceptive pricing and stressed the need for truthful and transparent pricing, which is a very polite federal way of saying, stop acting like the sticker is a teaser trailer and the real movie starts in the finance office. So if you're shopping for a car, your new love language is out-the-door price in writing. That's the pattern. Housing, cars, same trick. Hook them with the base number. Reveal the true cost later. Pretend that's normal commerce and not a civilization-wide improv bit. The economy didn't become confusing by accident. It became profitable that way.
The scam isn't always that they take your money. Sometimes it's that they make you do the accounting. Okay, let's talk about the part of modern life where every corporation and agency seems to whisper the same phrase: you figure it out. First up, subscriptions. On March 11th, the FTC said negative option subscriptions are still plagued by difficult cancellation processes, unlawful retention tactics, and other barriers that keep people from ending services they don't want. In plain English, that free trial that takes one tap to start and a blood ritual to cancel? Yeah, the feds noticed. The business model is friction on the way out. They're not selling convenience, they're selling your exhaustion. Then there's the no tax on overtime deduction, which sounds amazing right up until it introduces paperwork cosplay into your life. The IRS said on March 5th that for 2025 employers aren't required to separately report qualified overtime compensation on forms like the W-2, which means if you don't get a statement with that amount, you may need the new Schedule 1A instructions to calculate it yourself. So the headline is freedom, but the fine print is homework. Incredible country. Now add gig work to the pot. On February 27th, the Department of Labor proposed rescinding the 2024 rule and reading back in a revised 2021-style framework for determining whether someone is an employee or an independent contractor across multiple labor laws. The department said workers and businesses would benefit from having a single uniform standard. That sounds procedural until you remember classification decides who gets protections, who eats the costs, and who gets told, "Congrats, you're your own HR department now." And if you want a real-world preview of why that matters, look at Walmart's Spark Driver case. On February 26th, the FTC said Walmart agreed to a $100 million judgment to settle allegations that Spark drivers were deceived about base pay, tips, and incentive pay, with regulators saying drivers lost tens of millions of dollars in expected earnings. So once again, the app says opportunity, the system says ambiguity, and somehow your gas tank is expected to absorb the difference. What ties all of this together? The burden is migrating from businesses to users, from payroll departments to workers, from clear offers to hidden conditions. It's not just that everything has strings attached. It's that now you are expected to identify the strings, price the strings, and file the strings. They didn't eliminate friction. They outsourced it to your calendar.
If your cheap package got pricier, your side hustle got shakier, and your phone feels sketchier, congratulations. you noticed the plot. Now for the stuff that feels random until you line it up. On February 20th, the White House continued the suspension of duty-free de minimis treatment for covered shipments, saying the exemption would not apply to those shipments regardless of value, country of origin, transportation mode, or method of entry, with postal shipments subject to separate duty rules until a new process takes effect, which is a very official way of saying the era of ultra-cheap cross-border impulse shopping keeps getting less magical. So when your cart, total shipping, or delivery math suddenly looks cursed, that's not just vibes. Policy touched your haul. Then there's the scam economy, which has grown from watch out for weird emails into industrialized psychological warfare with payment rails. On March 6th, the White House said cybercrime, fraud, sextortion, impersonation, phishing, ransomware, and other predatory schemes are draining American families of life savings and often operate as coordinated campaigns tied to transnational criminal organizations. That matters because the scam text on your phone is not a quirky little annoyance from the internet. It's part of a bigger machine that scales fear, urgency, shame, and stolen identity like a business. Because it is one. And circling back to gig work for a second, because this one belongs here too. The Spark settlement is the perfect bridge between scams that look criminal and systems that look normal. Sometimes the modern hustle economy doesn't need a masked villain. Sometimes it just needs optimistic earnings language, a slick interface, and a user agreement long enough to qualify as medieval literature. Regulators said Walmart's Spark messaging misled drivers about pay. If you're a millennial juggling side income, that's your cue to stop reading up to as probably. So what's the broader Devils AIvocate angle? Not that there's one mastermind in a volcano pressing the make life subtly worse button. It's almost ruder than that. It's that across housing, shopping, work, and the internet, different systems keep landing on the same strategy. Hide complexity in the fine print, keep the headline simple, and let the consumer discover reality only after commitment. Scandals are loud. Policy is quiet. Your wallet hears both.